Pete from the Bama Lamas. This beautiful thing is a Yamaha 62. It's a semi-professional model, and I love it dearly. I like it because, A, of the better saxophones you can get, it's definitely on the cheaper end. This is, at least my Australian experience, has been that. Found the same thing here. Actually just looked on Craigslist, looked around for this particular model, saw it, bargain price, took it. So yeah, it's cheap and good, and given I'm not playing absolutely professionally, I thought that's a pretty good combination. One of the most underrated things, just in the general world, is it isn't the saxophone that makes the sound as often as it is the actual mouthpiece. I've got a Maya No. 5 mouthpiece, which is, I mean, they come different brands, different sizes, different everything. Whatever suits you is best. There's
what is it called again?
A Maya.
Maya?
Yeah. Meyer in your language. There you go. There's no such thing as the best mouthpiece or the worst mouthpiece. It's a purely individual kind of thing, right? But what's good about a saxophone, how loud it is. And I'm not talking about the sound coming out of it, but how quiet the keys are. You can see there's a lot of mechanics on this thing, right? You don't want a whole lot of clunky noise going. You don't want a whole lot of mechanical sound when you start moving this thing. Now you can hear it here because I'm not actually blowing into it. But the point is that the better a saxophone is, the tighter its rods are, all those sorts of things. It's a nice, well-oiled machine. And that's something, at least in my experience, the Yamaha 62 is fairly good at. Besides that, it's just the placement of the keys and stuff like that. I mean, they're all, on one hand, all saxophones are the same, but on the other hand, every saxophone is kind of unique, I guess. So, yeah, this one just suits me awfully well. And the last thing you have to look at is how well the keys are actually covered by the pads. You need it completely sealed, one of those bad boys there. So provided the holes are completely sealed when they need to be sealed, that's going to guarantee the sound that you've got.
And if the seals aren't, then you get kind of that wheezing sound?
You're going to get a wheezing sound. There's a whole bunch of stuff that can contribute to that. If your reed, which is this wooden thing that vibrates to make the sound, if that's broken, you get the wheezing sound or the whistling sound. The sound will merely sound appalling if the pads aren't there properly. The sound won't come out cleanly. It just doesn't do its job. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a very personal thing that you've got as to what a good saxophone is. There's a saxophone called the Selma, Selma No. 6 at least, in Australia is considered one of the best saxophones you can get. The point is, even that fantastic instrument, well balanced, quiet and all that kind of stuff, one of the pads is leaking. If you don't get it fixed, it's just not going to work well for you. Contrary to it looking like a big chunky piece of metal, there's actually a lot of delicate work going on around the mechanics here. So yeah, that's absolutely true. This is a tenor saxophone for one, so you've got soprano, alto, tenor, baritone. This is a tenor. I got this one off Craigslist of all things for about $600, which I think is very cheap. Back in Australia, I bought one a couple of years ago and it's still there. And that one costs significantly more. Having said that, just to show how individual each of them are, it's the same model, same year, same everything. The one back home has a much more lovelier sound to it. There's just something more wholesome, sonorous about the instrument. And so you kind of just got to find the one that suits you.
So it's also kind of like an acoustic guitar, a handmade one.
Very similar.
Like,
very
similar. They're all quote-unquote the same, but
yeah, but they're not. They're not. Actually, that is a fantastic comparison to the acoustic guitar.